credit where credit is due. This is Freja, a fantastically designed Overwatch hero. Yes, she may be OP. Yes, she may be a little bit broken at the moment. But the mechanics of this hero, the design of this hero, the moment-to-moment flow of the gameplay is simply phenomenal. This is, it's like peak Overwatch hero design. Now, you've probably seen videos of Freja and you're probably aware of what the hero is, but I want to give you guys a rundown of what my experience has been with this hero, and also kind of like a little bit more of an overview commentary on what is actually going on in Overwatch at the moment, because the game is in a little bit of a difficult sort of place, although it's still doing some things really well. And yes, it's still Overwatch, and yes, it's still an enjoyable game to play, but let's just focus on Freja. So I think initially Freja's design didn't really set the world on fire. There was a lot of commentary online around things like, oh, it just looks like a Widowmaker skin. And I'll be honest, my opinion on the hero is it's a bit of a safe design. They could have gone completely out there, made a crazy looking hero. But yeah, it's Freja, it's fine. However, once I started playing with the hero, things that really work are the first person view. And you can see this here with the weapon model. It's very unique. It's a crossbow. I kind of like, I guess a simplistic way of explaining the way the hero plays is it's kind of like Seaosn meets Hanzo. Or maybe even Sojourn meets Hanzo meets Ashe is probably a better way of putting her. Or maybe even you could throw in a bit of Tracer. And this is one of the issues Overwatch has got as a game. It's got quite a lot of heroes in the game right now. It's got, well, it's kind of difficult, isn't it, to come up with new and refreshing designs for heroes with completely new elements to their kit. And I think what the developers are doing, especially the hero design team, is looking at what works and what players enjoy from other heroes, and then trying to mash them together to almost build a hybridized hero, which has kind of got the best of all of the worlds. Now, the problem with that kind of design is often those heroes that have the best of every single possible world generally are the best heroes to play, and then from a balance perspective, it becomes a bit of an issue. Why play a different hero when you can play the newer hero, which has got all of the kit, even more of the kit, even more of the ideas, and is simply just going to be, well, more bang for buck. You're going to get more value when you play the hero. I think that's a problem Overwatch is always going to have. But like I said, this hero plays really well. So what she's got is a number of abilities. You can see me here floating around in the sky. Now, what's very interesting is when you use a movement ability, and in fact, you don't even need to use a movement ability. When you hold down alternate fire, so right mouse button on PC, it does this sort of, it doesn't slow time down, but it slows you down. It makes you hang in the air. But it also charges up your alternate fire, and then you fire out a bolt, which hits enemies, which travels faster as well. It's not hit scan, by the way, but it travels faster, I believe, than your standard fire. Or maybe the same, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but it travels faster, it seems to anyway. But it hits the target, and then it detonates. So you can go into your slow-mo mode, fire, and then you can follow up with a bunch of primary fire, which fires really rapidly to try and take out the target super quick. You can see I'm always beginning engagements with this. I'm going in, I'm looking for the sort of sniper shot, then I'm going for the rapid fire to follow it up. So in the middle of the screen, you've got two icons, the two big icons we should focus on for now. They're your dash icons. Now you've got a horizontal dash. It isn't vertical, it's just horizontal. So you can't look up to a bit of high ground and then try and dash towards it. That will not work. You do, however, have a updraft ability, which basically throws you straight up into the sky. And you can see as I'm playing through with the hero, what I'm doing is using that to get up into a high ground position, holding down alternate fire to make me hang in the sky, looking for a target, trying to take that shot, and then following up with primary fire. Now, the ultimate is this bolus thing. You launch it out, and it hits targets in an area, and I think it slows them, knocks them down, knocks them up, does whatever, does damage to them, it's fine. It's probably the least interesting bit of the hero's kit. It's just a long-range damage projectile with like a slow bit of a stun component to it. You can see there Freja actually tried to come around and flank. I managed to hit her with a alternate fire and then follow up. But can you see how really cool this is? I've kind of got a feeling of like, it's like that Max Payne bullet time feeling, although the enemies obviously don't slow down. You just slow down. But it does catch enemies off guard, because when you're jumping around and flying in the air, they expect you to move on a certain trajectory. You can hold alternate fire down and slow down. I think this is a really good hero design. Honestly, I think she's really, really good. Like, where I think Overwatch excels is not hit scan hero design. It's heroes that have got fun projectile kits. Hit scan heroes are fine, but they are a little bit one-dimensional. And then you've got balance issues, whereas they're doing too much damage. If they're too accurate, things become ridiculous. We've seen loads of issues with Seaosn's alternate fire Widowmaker throughout the years of the game. Has been incredibly like OP on certain maps. She still is. Soldier 76 has had moments where he's been insane. Cassidy's been insane for a whole host of reasons throughout the literal 10-year history of Overwatch, although maybe he's not as insane right now, although I'm not too up to speed with the cutting edge meta. But this hero, I think, is really, really damn cool when it comes to looking at all the elements of the kit that have kind of been spliced together from different heroes. Because you can say the dash is like Tracer's dash. The alternate fire is maybe like Ash's ADS in some sort of way. Obviously, you slow down in its projectile. The actual weapon itself, kind of like Hanzo's bow. It just fires faster, doesn't do as much damage. You know, there's all these like comparisons you can make. The ultimate is like whatever. And yeah, I think it's a really well done hero. This is why I said at the top of the video, credit where credit's due. Now, like I said, in terms of balance, whatever, this is probably broken. The whole point of these hero test weekends for the developers is to try and work out just how broken they are or how underperforming they might actually turn out to be. What I will say, though, is looking at recent hero design, I think they've done really well. I think when you look at this hero, you look at Hazard, I think you go back, you look at Juno, you look at Venture, they're fine. I think the first issue for Overwatch 2 when it comes to hero design was probably Lifeweaver, and I still think they've got a bit of an issue with Lifeweaver. I think he's way too much in the opposite direction of... He's okay to play, but he's not... I don't know, he just doesn't feel like an Overwatch hero. He doesn't have that fluidity to him that only really Overwatch can sort of provide in this first-person hero shooter genre, where it's like very fluid. Everything has got a great flow to it, and I think they've really nailed it. I think Juno is great for this as well, but I do think from a DPS perspective, actually I think Hazard is as well from a tank perspective, but from a DPS perspective, the flow here with Freya is really damn good, and they should be really proud of it. And I also think, like I said, her first-person weapon design, the visuals of it, I think are really damn cool as well. Really, really cool. She's got things in a kit like a passive where she gets ultimate charge when you get 3 last hits on enemies, which is a bit broken because you get a ton of ultimate charge off that and all of that stuff. So she's not perfect, but I think, yeah, she is a really good designer. And I was honestly super taken back. Of course, this is the first time I've played her. Yeah. So what about the state of Overwatch as a game? Now, it's in a really interesting place, Overwatch is. It seems to, or at least it feels like, it's kind of stabilized in a lot of ways. Yeah, they still do stuff like pushing the Le Seraphim collab content, you know, and they've already done that before, and they've done this latest one, and it's kind of like a watered-down version in terms of it doesn't have like all the animated shorts and that kind of stuff. It's fine, that stuff is. I get that they need to, well, you need to make money, right? I think my only issue with things like monetization and the way that kind of ends up going, it's like you're going from update to update, if that makes sense. So it's like we need to do a certain number of things, provide a certain number of skins, do a certain number of collaborations to basically make it to the next update, of which we then do it for the next update and then for the next update. And I feel like that's what was happening under Activision Blizzard. It seems like things may have changed a little bit when it comes to Microsoft. I mean, there's been some notable departures from the Overwatch team. And the executive producer, he's left. Now, I think he was responsible for a lot of the monetization pushing. There's also other people who were in the team who were there for very clear reasons of monetization. Now, obviously, under Activision Blizzard, they were pushed to make as much money as possible. If you're not making money, we're not going to carry on developing the game. It does feel, like I said, though, that the developers, especially in recent months, have almost kind of gone back a little bit and are more focused on actually delivering a game, because maybe Microsoft are not as pushy when it comes to the game generating revenue. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm sure they want them to generate revenue, but I do think it's an interesting point. Whereas I feel there is a shift. They're not... I mean, you guys let me know in the comments below if you don't agree with this, but I feel like there's a bit of a shift here where they're not just moving from update to update, pumping skins, and they're doing kind of more consumer-friendly stuff. And we're seeing that with, like, recent things happening in the store, recent things happening in the Battle Pass, and recent updates. So, yeah, I mean, you guys let me know what you think about that statement, but I feel like it seems that is the case at the moment. And I only hope this gets better, because I'm all for the game just being an awesome game to play, and I want the developers to work on new features, new entertaining stuff, rather than just, you know, here's a bunch of new ways to make money. So this leads me into my next point, perks. Now, this is a system which is straight up there to just add to the gameplay. Obviously, if you add to the gameplay in a good way and players enjoy, then they're going to play more of the game, they'll probably buy more skins. So in a way, it does work out long term, I guess, as a monetization plan. Anyway, perks are really good. And the reason why, I mean, I'd even go as far to say perks are the best. It's the best single feature that's been added to Overwatch 2, without a doubt. And then when you extend it to actually Overwatch, could it actually be the best single feature added to Overwatch full stop? Because what's actually been added to Overwatch? You take the very core launch version of the game. Yeah, I know, like, you know, we can talk about 5v5 roll queue, obviously the removal of 6v6. the way the competitive system got upgraded and whatever. But in terms of raw gameplay, nothing has ever really changed. Yeah, they've done balance. Yeah, they've added new heroes with different kits, whatever. But there wasn't... oh, well, I guess you could say the fact that there was no hero limits, right, early in the game, whatever, that was insane. When they brought hero limits in, you know, things got a bit different and it got shook up. But perks is, I think, the first time they've ever really done a fundamental change to the game, and I think it works in a really good way. Now, I've got to caveat this with, not all the perks are great, right? Some of the perks are just straight trash and you're never going to use them. In fact, I think with Freja, I can't remember the name of these perks off the top of my head, but you basically take the first initial perk, which is when you hit them a couple of times, they have a slow applied to them, and then you take the final perk, which is you hit them with your alternate fire, you get ammo instantly reloaded to your primary fire. There is no way you take any of the other perks. So in a way, it's almost like a pointless button press. It's like, okay, I'm going to take that every single time. Now, I think in the devs' sort of defense, they have said they're going to make big changes to perks and actually completely change them whenever they see the need to do that. And some heroes do kind of have placeholder perks, because it is a lot of work. Think about the number of heroes in the game, and then think about each one of these 2 perks. It's a lot. Well, actually, no, they need 4 perks, don't they? So that's a lot, right? Tons of work needs to go into that, and it's going to take them time to get it right. But the good news is they're actually doing stuff like this, and this is a great sign. So I just want to talk about stuff that's actually coming to the game in Season 16 and beyond, because there's a lot of stuff happening here with Overwatch. And again, it feels like the developers, when I say the developers, right, I mean the game designers. I don't just mean faceless monetization developers or pushy project managers or annoying arsehole executive producers or any of that shit, right? I'm talking about people that want to invest in the game, right? People that want to build the lore, build new characters, build new gameplay, push the game forward, evolve the game. Those are the people I feel have got more agency, and I want them to get even more agency. But when you look at these updates, actually it's quite telling. So in Season 16, we're going to get... I'm just going to read these off from the official Overwatch Twitter, but there's going to be a Juno mythic skin, whatever. There's going to be Mercy's mythic weapon, okay, whatever. Hero bands, right? Big one. That's a big one. Because again, that's them making a change. You can argue that this is the effect of Marvel Rivals. Who knows, right? But at least they're looking at making a change and adding hero bands, which gives a bit more agency to the players. And it's good agency, not crap agency that's forced. It's agency where the players get to decide who they want to ban, which I think is really cool. There'll be new collaborations and then some Doki Watch skins. Obviously, Freya gets added. But the big thing is Stadium gets added, which is a completely new mode. Now, I've not played Stadium. I've only seen what some streamers were given access to back at the Overwatch Spotlight event that was held a couple of months ago. It looks fine. I mean, it's going to be one of those I'm going to need to play to kind of get any thoughts together on it. But it looks interesting. It looks fine. It's third person. It's, you know, you're going to get more skin value in that. We'll have to wait and see what that mode actually looks like. But again, at least they're taking a risk and looking at adding a mode which actually could become a core game mode. And that's what the devs kind of envision it as, like the third pillar of Overwatch. You kind of got your competitive, your quick play, and then your Stadium, which is an interesting way to approach it. And then we go to Season 17. So there's a Diva Mythic skin, which hilariously was the original Mythic skin that was designed, although it doesn't look anything like the new one. But anyway, I digress. That's like really old leaks from 2017, by the way, there, guys, from the Blizzard campus when I was there. Anyway, Reaper is going to get a Mythic weapon. You've got the Overwatch, I want to say World Cup, but it's not. It's the Overwatch Championship Series Mid-Season Championship, if you're into esports. There's going to be new Flashpoint maps, which is kind of cool. But there's also going to be a new hero trial, Aqua, who is a support hero, we believe. And there's map voting. So, hero bans, map voting. I mean, this is them really adding to the game in a meaningful way that players will enjoy. These are not just pointless additions. These are fun additions. These are, again, they affect player agency. They give you more control over a match. These are just incredible things. And I'm so glad that Overwatch is doing this. And then as far as we know right now, obviously in Season 18, Aqua, which is the code name for that hero, will be launched. So, like, I'm going to say this, guys, right? Because it's like, this is one of those things, isn't it, Overwatch 2, where it's, why isn't Overwatch 2 dead yet? Like, why are people still playing this game? I mean, it's quite obvious, right? This gives you something that you can only get in Overwatch. This first-person experience, the fluidity of the engine, the complexity of the hero designs when you look at them all together, it is something you can only get in Overwatch 2. But what has happened over the last... And it sounds insane to say this, but... And I'm going to get some things wrong here, but like over the last 10 years, Overwatch's core gameplay hasn't really changed very much, but it feels like over the last 6 months, it really has. And they're really going to invest in that going forward. And we are finally, for the first time, going to see what Overwatch 2 could potentially be. Now, of course, the devs have even said, in fact, I think Aaron Keller, the game director, was noted that they might even change the name back to Overwatch and just get rid of Overwatch 2. It would be interesting, though, wouldn't it, to see what a proper Overwatch 2 could look like. And I think this game, for the next 12 months, is going to be in a very interesting sort of place. We've got new core features, a lot of new stuff being added to the game, and maybe the sky's the limit for the game. Will Overwatch reach the heights it had back in 2016? Probably not. But does it even have to? Again, probably not. All right, guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I've been Stylosa, and if you enjoyed that, then, yeah, like I said, do let me know what you think. Do subscribe to the channel as well. It helps a lot. Yeah, like the video as well. But like I said, leave a comment. It'll be interesting to see what you guys think. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you soon.